Now, we're lucky, and I want to thank everybody for coming. We're lucky to have you here. And I'll do a quick intro of all three of you, and then maybe Vinay, you can go first. So Vinay immediately to my left, is from HTC, where he's Executive Director of Strategy for HTV VIVE, and which is the immersive technology, VR technology that HTC has been one of the pioneers in, and we'll talk about. And you also said something interesting to me, and you might touch upon it, your relationships with other companies that you also do. So I think they very much have an ecosystem view, if it's fair to say. Next we have Bret Greenstein. Stein.
We practiced that.
You told me that too. Bret, who's 28 years at IBM, and now, and most recently being instrumental in the whole Watson area. We obviously talked a lot about Alexa because of the impact they had at the show, but we have to talk about IBM and Watson and kind of the very deeper level at which they're pursuing it, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then, hopefully I'll do this one right, Tim Alessi from LG, LG Home Entertainment. There's some cool stuff downstairs. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. One of the things we didn't talk about is TVs, which, by the way, is interesting. We didn't talk about TVs at CES because it used to be, that's what you talked about. But the coolest TVs, without question, were LG's, and we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. It was really some very cool stuff. Things that, like, if I had a big enough house for their whole, they had a whole room of, like, you know, was that 4K OLED?
Tunnel, yeah.
Tunnel, yeah. That would basically fill this, that, you know, is completely immersive and about the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I need to buy a bigger house so I can put it in and then go broke buying it all. Vinay, maybe you could tell us what's going on at HTC.
Sure, great, yeah. So as a show of hands, how many of you actually tried a VR system? Great, how many of that's actually been either a VIVE or any other PC-based VR system? Excellent. So last year at CES, we actually won a lot of awards as we announced our kind of pre-consumer developer kits and VIVE Pre's. Really what VIVE is, it takes virtual reality to a whole nother level. Our commitment at HTC is to create the most immersive experiences in VR. And the way we really do that is we take advantage of Steam's VR Lighthouse tracking. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to not just stay stationary in your VR environment, but actually get up and actually move. So we have the ability to actually, you can stand up, move, walk around your play space with active controllers. And so this year at CES, we want to take that to the next step further. We understand that, one, our hardware works great, our platform works great, but how do we expand that ecosystem? And how do we really let collaborators collaborate and dreamers dream? And so what we did this year, we announced both what we're doing from an ecosystem standpoint, but as well as how we're investing in the foundation of VR. And actually, a very quick video clip that if we could just play, I'll kind of talk to some of what we showed at hardware at CES. All right, so what you saw, the last product in there, you saw the VIVE Tracker. And this year for VIVE Tracker, we actually won several awards for that. What that really enables you to do, rather than going to very time-consuming IMU kind of sensor integration classes, now you can actually track pretty much any object that you can actually mount a tracker to. What that really allows you to do, it really from an ecosystem and developer standpoint, now it really allows a lot of different accessories and peripherals to come into the VR space. And some of the use cases that we've seen here, actually in our base, we have 30 different experiences showcasing different content types, education, wellness, medical, enterprise, and entertainment. And one of the great examples of that, we actually had Melbourne firefighter training. Essentially what they did, they actually had a firefighter's hose and actually a firefighter's jacket that was heated. And you're in a VIVE actually going through what it takes to actually put out a fire. And what you actually realize to that, one, it's as closer you get to the fire, the hotter your jacket gets, and all of a sudden you realize you can't actually spray a stream of water to really quickly take that fire out. But when you get down on your knees, then all of a sudden the haze goes away, you can see clearly. There's another company called Trinity Vr. They actually took MLB data and mapped how MLB pitchers throw the ball. And actually, you could actually have a tracker mounted on a baseball bat and actually take swings against real MLB pitches. And it's great for training, and that was a really great interaction as well. But one of my favorite examples of a tracker integration was there's a company called Master of Shapes out of Los Angeles. What they did, they actually had one person in headset and another person with kind of like a toy gun, essentially, that has a mobile phone mount on it with our tracker. So one person is in headset, the other person actually has a mobile phone, and both of us interacted in the same play space. So in this particular kind of defense game, you can actually literally use that person's body for cover, which is just pretty fantastic. And the amazing thing is,
let people shoot that guy.
That's what yes, yeah. That's the way to do it, teamwork. But the amazing thing about that is that really allowed the ecosystem to kind of really quickly, from an idea to reality, really develop those experiences. And what we also did too is, going back to, we are firm believers that the ecosystem for virtual reality is super critical, right? It's not just the amount of numbers of pieces of content. There's already 1,000 pieces of content on Steam, and they're growing every single day. But VivePort's our non-gaming content platform. Non-gaming is really where most of your most compelling VR experiences are out there. In fact, today downstairs we actually showcasing some of our non-gaming experiences as well. So VivePort allows actually a subscription service, so both for content developers that actually want to generate revenue in the VR space. So discovery is a big challenge. So now from an end user standpoint, I don't have to go and buy 15 pieces of content. I can actually go through a subscription service. But also, we're seeing a proliferation globally of VR arcades. So now we actually have a back-end system that allows developers to get paid and those that actually want the best content to actually deliver those content. And lastly, everyone's asking about, so Vive, it's actually tethered to your PC, and that actually allows the most immersive experiences, but everyone wants to go cordless. HTC actually has a startup and an accelerator called ViveX. It's a $100 million accelerator with offices in San Francisco, Shenzhen, and Taipei. And one of the early applicants of ViveX, actually TPcast, announced their wireless solution. And for the first time, Western markets were able to actually do Vive wireless in our bays.
Cool. So I think what we'll do is maybe we'll all get a chance to talk. Then if we have any time left, we'll take questions, but I want to make sure everybody has a chance to talk. So Bret G.
Yes.
I think Watson is probably the granddaddy of this whole AI world, at least maybe to public consciousness.
You're making me feel old.
Yeah, trust me, I know the feeling. I was reading. I flew back from LA last night. I was reading Tom Friedman's new book. He has a quick anecdote in the book that says Tom Friedman asked a chess master, a grandmaster, how that master would prepare to play Watson. What would be his preparation? And his answer was, "I'd get a hammer." So I think you've ushered us into the age where AI is as powerful, if not more powerful, than humans in many computational matters.
I think it's one of the areas where people get all kind of freaked out, and you talked about it earlier. What do you trust? What do you not? Maybe there's a whole generation of people who are not as comfortable with it. We look at AI as how it supplements and helps people to live, and so not that machines are taking over the world. But there are things that machines are much better at than anyone else. And so some of you may have seen the work we did with Watson with Jeopardy or playing chess or other things like that. But we're also doing great work with Watson ingesting manuals from doctors, all the documentation, all the research papers, all the stuff that happens in the medical industry, which a machine can ingest everything generated every day, and a doctor can't even read a fraction of it over a course of a year. And so if you can have something that understands all that and helps you, that's wonderful.
And as I understand it, very quickly can be translated in potential diagnostic applications, right? So literally, as quickly as the advances take place, they can be incorporated in a diagnostic protocol for use with a doctor. Right.
And I think when people saw all that about IBM and Watson and giant computers helping, treat cancer and things like that, that is, amazing stuff we're very proud of. We've also taken the same capabilities, though, and brought them into use cases and patterns that can be used in anything. And so the voice systems, which I'm thrilled at how popular they've become because we've been early adopters and advocates for it, now people are getting comfortable with voice as an interface. I think the next step is how do we better understand people? What do they want? What are their intentions? What are their needs? What are their feelings? So we have a lot of stuff available now in Watson, and some of which we've shown in many places. Even developers can use it on the cloud for free to understand people's emotions and their personality and their tone, and all of it to help supplement this experience. So while you're driving,
my wife would say I need some help with that along the way. So if I could be a user.
Yeah, you might need a little system just to tell you what you're going to need, but how people feel. But we've been taking that and putting it into products, and so you'll see some stuff downstairs. And at CES we showed Watson in Harman speakers for hotels, controlling lights and other things, and providing a real industrial strength capability In addition, Panasonic had a mirror that displayed live data, had voice, had chat interface, and again, you could interact with it and find out what you need to do with a much richer interface. And also a self-driving car that we were working with Local Motors that had Watson in it.
I think it's fair to say that, as you can hear, that this is not just trying to make cool AI or connected gadgets. I mean, you're going after some real deep
We want to
learning
understand people and help them to live better. And I know that sounds, like hyperbole, but we really are building, models to help understand, people's health, people's well-being, whether your family's safe or your children's safe, and build this into systems.
Yeah, it's breathtaking in its scope, and I know CES is, I believe, the largest, if not the largest convention in the world. It's certainly the largest convention in the United States. It's about, I think this year, I haven't seen the final. Anybody seen the final number? I thought it was 177,000 was the last number I saw. And then, lots, hundreds of thousands more all in and around. Those are the registered people. But IBM, you can tell me when, but it was towards the end of last year, the Watson conference you had in Vegas, November? October?
Yeah, November in Vegas, the World of Watson.
And you had over 20,000 people
We
just
did.
for that.
We did, just to learn about how Watson is working in consumer electronics, in automotive, in healthcare and everything. People are very interested. Voice is interesting, but most of the systems today are kind of 1.0 kind of versions of things. You ask something, it gets, play Pandora for you. Yeah. We want to understand what you mean, what you feel, what your goals are.
I really want you to play Pandora, actually.
Well, okay, so we can do that. We'll do that too.
No, I'm being facetious, obviously. No, what I admire, and I'm being...
Just the interest is so high, you're right. We have a whole conference just focused on Watson itself, and then obviously big presence in CES and IFA and all the other shows.
Great. Tim, I don't want to steal your thunder, but maybe you could talk about it, because there was no, I think, and by the way, if any other panelists or anybody else who went to CES wants to contradict me, but I think unquestionably the TV hit of the show was, I'm not going to get your name, the name right, but it's the 17-pound TV that's like less than a finger thick.
That's right.
65 inches that you can hang on magnets on the wall.
That's right. Our
real.
OLED TV.
Yeah.
The boring old TV category. Show of hands, how many people have a TV? Actually, I saw a statistic earlier this year from CTA, or late last year, I should say, that there's actually more TVs in America than people. So that TV is something that everybody is very familiar with. So the challenge that we are constantly faced with is how do we differentiate from year to year? How do you keep getting better and better? And pushing the limits of recreating reality at home. And if you're in the market for TVs, you see a lot of things thrown at you like 4K, Ultra HD, HDR, all these other things. But when you boil it down, what people want is to have that feeling like you're looking out a window and the most natural picture possible. And that's what OLED does. OLED is a technology, it's a panel technology. All those other things are features, but the panel is what all of those features come to life on. And OLED has been around for a little bit. It's not brand new technology, but for a large screen, like 55 inches and above, big screen categories, it's only been around for about 4 years. And LG really was at the forefront of developing a home theater-sized OLED. I have a couple of slides here. It's just a couple, just to kind of level set everybody on what OLED is, because the TV category is quite confusing. And right now, OLED is considered the gold standard in TV picture quality. Since it came out just a couple of years ago, you can see some of the reviews we get are kind of unheard of in this category. Perfect scores of 10.0 and the best that's ever been produced. So how do we keep improving on what we market as the perfect picture every year? And CES was really successful for us. We introduced our 4th generation of OLED, 5 new series, 10 models altogether. We won almost all the awards in TV, including Dana, thank you for the Engadget best of. We not only got the best TV, but also overall best in show. And so with all this other exciting technology for a TV to still be able to have that kind of impact to win best in show, we thought was a real testament to OLED. And just very simply, what makes it different is the structure itself. It doesn't require backlight. It's an emissive technology.
Yeah, and by not requiring backlight, again, tell me if I got it right, that means that when it's dark, it's completely dark. So
exactly.
So that the color contrast is perfect.
Right. The 2 main benefits of this is the simple structure. You can see on the bottom here, there's only a few layers, as opposed to an LCD, which requires a backlight and a lot other filters and diffusers and things. So you can do incredible things with design. If you haven't seen the TV we have downstairs, we call it our wallpaper OLED. And as you mentioned, the panel itself is actually 2.57 millimeters in depth. So it's about 3/4 stacked together. when it's mounted on
Say
the
that
wall.
again. 2.75
2.57.
millimeter.
No, don't make it thicker.
Millimeters.
That's right. And people's first reaction when they see it is, okay, where's the rest of it? Is it recessed into the wall? And the answer is no. It doesn't require any kind of extra equipment other than a power source and a video signal, of course. So that's really at the forefront of what it can do for design. And as you mentioned too, in black level, every one of those pixels, in a 4K TV there's over 8.3 million pixels, every one can be individually controlled and completely turned off. So having a perfect black level is really the building block for TV picture quality. And not only can they be turned off completely, but they're individually controlled, so you don't get any light leakage. And nowadays, high dynamic range is the next generation of TV content. And high dynamic range requires you to be able to have very bright and very dark areas on the screen at the same time for that sense of reality, like you're looking out of a window. And that's really what all that technology and OLED can do. So we call it the perfect viewing angle, black level, color, and design.
When is it commercially available and how much?
The set that we have downstairs, it's called our W7. It's a 65-inch one that's on display. It'll be available in March at $79.99. So it's a real product. It's not a science project that sometimes you see at CES that ends up not coming out in the market.
Is there a Paley discount that we can
Hold on, my phone's ringing. I got to. But it's only one, as I mentioned, it's only one of 5 different series. So we have, that's the premium flagship model. But last year we had 55-inch OLED sets with the same picture quality, just a little bit different design, not as dramatically thin, for as low as $17.99 for a 55-inch screen.
That's a good deal.
So 55 all the way up to 77 inches at a wide range of price points.
Great. I'm being told that we don't have time up here for questions, so these guys will be downstairs. You should check out their stuff. First of all, thank you very much for coming to us, and thank you very much.